So this will be the first time that Mark Carney will be hosting such an event with other world leaders as the Prime Minister. What does he need to present, demonstrate about his leadership and about Canada to the others?
I think that's a great starting point for discussing the importance of this G7 meeting a week from now. And I believe that it is simply safe to say that it is the most important G7 meeting in a generation. Why is it important that it's being held in Canada? Because Canada is being hit so hard by the United States right now with the illegal tariffs that go completely against the last trade deal that Donald Trump signed. We're going to be seeing people arrive there. It looks like the president of Mexico, Sheinbaum, she might be there. Carney himself has so much respect around the world for his role on the economy. He is able to bring people together, and they know that this is not going to be one of these classic G7 set-piece meetings where you try to come up with a common statement and nothing really happens and you just move along. This one is taking place, Akshay, against the backdrop of upheaval of the world trading system, upheaval in global markets, brought by these attempts by Donald Trump to completely change the world order on trade. So I don't think that there's ever been a more important G7 meeting, as I say, at least in a generation. And Mark Carney is so respected on the world stage. I think he's going to be able to play a key role, both with regard to the U.S., because, of course, Canada is its closest neighbor and ally, despite everything that's happened under Trump. That's not going to change anytime soon. Mm-hmm. And we've got a role to play in this. And the fact that it's a rotation, this G7 meeting, but this one just happens to be taking place here in Canada this time around, but it couldn't be at a better time, I think, for the world. There's a very oblique reference to environment in the first of the points that you were looking at before. When you're talking about our communities, making them safe for the future, that's a notion of sustainable development. And it is an opening to discuss climate change, although that seems to be getting, lower and lower on the ladder of the importance of things that have to be discussed. But I think that environment has to be there, and they were able to squeeze it in that way. With regard to finding new partnerships, that's Canada's way of saying, by the way, Mr. Trump and the United States, we can increase our ability to trade and to work with the European Union. And there will be other huge players there at the table, including, of course, India, which is already confirmed, and China, which is also invited.
Speaking about the first mission, which is protecting our communities and the world, Tom, if you go into the further detail of what that really entails, it talks also about countering foreign interference. And my question is in regards with that. You just mentioned India and China. India has been named as the second most active state actor in electoral foreign interference in a public inquiry. And yet, India is at the G7 table on invitation of Canada. Is that a bit contradictory in how we're looking at things?
It's certainly diplomatically sensitive, and it's difficult domestically, because beyond the simple question that you've raised, there's also the far more serious, because it's not just a question of it trying to influence the votes of the Indo-Canadian community, but we have active information from our law enforcement authorities that the government of India was involved in the killing of a Canadian citizen on Canadian soil.
Right.
And so that's a very serious matter. But the Americans also had to deal with that, Akshay. In the case of the U.S., they arrested people. It was an attempt. It didn't get carried through. But they were very tough in their dealings with India. But they have the ability to set things apart and to continue with the relationship. And I think that that's what Mark Carney is attempting to do here with his invitation to Modi. It will be controversial. There will be elements in the Indo-Canadian community, and they've already started speaking up, who will be outraged at the presence of Modi, given that link that has been established not by them, but by the Canadian law enforcement authorities between the Indian government and that killing in British Columbia. Right. So it is a very sensitive issue. But I think what Carney is also trying to signal is he's going to be reaching out to build new partnerships. And yes, there are very tough issues that have to be dealt with both China and India. But he's reaching out so that both of them can be at the table so we can start talking the economy, which is the main thing that has to be talked about at a G7 meeting.